do that in a close twitch. Brilliant. There we go. Assuming that it's, you know, gonna last more than 10 minutes. I think that's a pretty safe bet in this matchup. We're on Persephone to start things off. It is Byun in the bottom left and Lemon in the top left. I was playing. Usually it's a much higher for playing, much lower for observing. It's kind of in the middle that time. So Lemon surprises me by defeating Mana, but it was a PvP. Not to say the discredit Lemon being good at it, just that I do think that is going to be more volatile. TvP is less volatile, but TvP is also in a weird place where a lot of Terrans seem very uncomfortable with it. I know Clem has managed to beat those odds a couple times, but Byun certainly seems to be a character who is struggling. Basically, when it comes to the open cups, these weeklies, I think we see the Terrans struggling a bit more. And then maybe when it comes to bigger tournaments, they're able to bring out longer series and different builds and prepare a little more, whatever it is. But when it comes to these open cups, it seems pretty tough for these guys. And Byun certainly seems like he's been having trouble. But Byun has that X factor, the ability to use whatever build he can think of, even one that's from 10 years ago. And then actually surprise, shock and all, a Protoss player who might be trying to just macro and get to that really good point of 3 base into Colossus, going on a 4th, push into, you know. Byun knows that could be a problem and has done 2 base all-ins, for example, to stop that from becoming a problem. And they've been kind of effective, actually. Not so much against max packs, but against other Protoss, they have been effective. So that's what we're talking about right now. And that's the most important thing. And we do have, not a 2 base all-in, at least not yet, but we do have a different opener. So Byun is changing things up. So he hasn't scouted at all, first of all, worth noting. Hasn't scouted at all, doesn't believe that Lemon's going to do something really cheesy. And it has been a while since I've seen any of these Protoss players do something really early game cheesy. So that seems right. But then even if it was a proxy gateway or, you know, a max packs, which we haven't seen in a while, the Marauder Slow would actually, I think, be able to save him. I think. I mean, it'd be tricky. You still have to, you know, micro really well and emergency respond, build a bunker, try and get this command center finished, you know, all that good stuff. But anyway, point is, Byun did not scout his opponent, but then Lemon has not done much scouting of his opponent. He saw that it was a 1-Rex expand, said, okay, that's good enough, that's all I needed to see. And then, obviously, didn't get a secondary scout until just now. Did go for a Sentry Hallucination, but this is a very early, small attack. It's threading that needle perfectly between, you know, them scouting the 1-Rex expand and actually being early aggression, you know, before they actually get the hallucination in. So Lemon does not have a shield battery, and that would be what you would want. Force field also would have worked, I think. At least it would have bought some time, and he did just miss the force field. That's unfortunate. Hallucination didn't actually see the army was already moving out after all, even though it saw the tech lab on the barracks, and that is the signal. Yeah, I just wasn't paying attention. I assume that was his plan. You know, the force field makes you have to go around this pylon, which would have saved the Stalker for a little bit longer. Maybe it still dies because the shield battery was very late. But we are talking about mitigating a small threat. This was never going to be game ending. Not with the amounts of stuff that you had. Literally, even the probes pulled against 2 Marauders and a Marine is not bad. But it, you know, what is it going to get? Is it going to get 3 probes? Going to get the Stalker? Is it going to get the Sentry? And it did get the Stalker and 3 probes. It's really not too bad, though. Whatever the initial defense was supposed to be or not, that's, I think, totally acceptable for the Protoss. What would have been worse is probably losing that Sentry as well. And then probably maybe like 6 probes. Yeah, that is possible. That is possible. But I don't know. Byun's early game, not the most important thing, I suppose. He did 1-Rex expand after all, so this wasn't a dedicated cheese, dedicated attack. Going into the 3 racks, but messing up the build ever so slightly. Probably not his most practiced build. He is getting quite supply blocked. And then the problem is that yeah, the early game and it doing a tremendous amount of damage compared to, I guess, like how much it offered versus a little bit might not be what dictates this game. Tells you who's going to win, who's going to lose. But considering how long it takes Byun to do anything beyond that, as he waits for more bio, as he waits for the medevacs to actually pop out, that's what's really concerning. Is that there is nothing else that Lemon has to be concerned about. Knowing what build it was with the hallucination, he knows how late the medevacs are, and the Terran players aren't really going to do their first actual move out without those medevacs. 9 times out of 10, there are times where doing it is the clever thing to do, but yeah, a lot of the time you won't. So you just know you have so much time. I'm not sure this was unintentional, just because you can see the hallucination is almost out of time. So I'm not sure that was supposed to be a Colossus. C and X are very close to each other after all, and X is the Phoenix hallucination, but I guess it kind of got a scout. We'll go with that. Byun is moving out with the medevacs on the way, so this is his attempt to get there a little bit faster. The observer is going to see the medevacs. It won't see the army, but there is already a decent amount built up back at Lemon's base. He did go for charge first, so this is very different here. Byun might not be expecting that. Now, there's a weakness to charge first. Absolutely, there is. But the benefit is that you do get a lot of charge lots. You do get a bunch. So we're going to try and get a surround here with the Zealots. Maybe a force field to help out, too. Not enough force fields, and that one wasn't even really that helpful. The Zealots, there's the weakness. They can be kited. The surround did not come down. The force fields did not press those bio up against the Zealots, and this is where the charge first looks a little weak. If you go blink first... well, you still want charge to be done by now, but yeah, it's problematic. If you do go blink first, there's a little bit more chase, there's a little bit more focus fire available. But unfortunately for Lemon, whether he went blink first or zealot first, I think the ideal situation was to be more up against a shield battery, which he wasn't really able to do. You know, the zealots do have to run out against that bio, and the bio does kite back, automatically taking you away from the shield battery.
Thank you for
but the timing, you know, ideally the Colossus comes out a little bit faster, the blink would have been done. I mean, if all these things could have happened, that would have been a no-brainer defense. As it is, we lost a good amount of Zealots. 24 Zealots, Jesus. That's a lot, actually. That's a lot. I mean, how much bio was killed? 22 Marines, fairly inexpensive, and the 2 Marauders. Yeah, big difference in the resources lost. Big difference. Not sure I actually like that charge first. I think it works if Byun was willing to just go in, like, hands over his eyes, A move. You know, sure, then that might work, but yeah, that was an expensive loss. But it also was off of Lemon having those 3 base set up really as quickly as you would want it to. Again, the early game damage wasn't really there, and I guess most importantly, the Colossus are now out without a direct counter. Viking number is not high after all. We are getting there with 4 medevacs still alive. 3rd CC is done, so 2nd starport could also be added on if that's what you wanted to do, but I don't think it's actually what a lot of people are doing now. And Bio just needs to get a good concave and then hope the medevacs continue to live, which they have a higher chance of doing so because, again, Blink wasn't their priority, and if Blink's not the priority, Stalkers aren't the priority, so we just don't have a lot of Stalkers. You would want to increase that number, which Lemon is doing. Here they come. 15 Stalkers, because you do want to start targeting those Vikings, keep your Colossus alive, but then, yeah, also go after the medevacs. A lot of what makes the Terran eventually fall in this 3rd base attack is them being overstimmed, draining the medevac energy. And so if they keep losing medevacs as well, then that is what they're really in trouble. I think that's the biggest difference we've seen over the last probably 2 years, actually. And then the additional balance changes and map changes over the 2 years, and people just kind of understanding that dynamic, I guess. It now seems so pervasive. I think it was like 2 years ago where I started to kind of note, like, well, this is becoming like a bigger problem that I remember talking about. Like, as a commentator, I don't think I was missing the medevac problem 5 years ago. I think there just actually wasn't as much of one. But at some point, the medevac energy became the highlight talking point for commentators. And because of the medevac energy, then, of course, how many bio units are in the red and yellow. But anyways, now most Protosses know that's kind of more of the goal here. They know that their army can still fall to a good concave of well composed bio armies. And so they're going to avoid that first and foremost. But while avoiding that, while backing away into a choke and force fielding and buying more time, they're also keeping track now, I think, of, how much the bio is injured. Is it now possible for me to take the engagement because you're just so freaking injured? I will say that generally at this point, Max Packs, who we do kind of look at as the best Protoss, probably would have had a couple more run-by attempts. We have Lemon more so just gathering up the army on the front lines. That is a lot of Zealots, 36 of them. But again, they are going up against a brick wall, and they can be kited. Colossus also going down really before they get a lot of shots in. This is, I don't think, very ideal. Byun, he stops microing, not because he gets lazy or anything else is really happening on the field here. He just realized that the Zealots weren't going to win. Now, should he have maybe kept kiting a little bit more? Maybe, actually. But I think that's why he stopped. He was just like, okay, the Zealots are going to die. They're gone. I'm going to win. And the farther I go back, the less I'm able to pounce on the rest of your army when you realize that you're fucked. So that's why he stopped, because he was like, I'm gonna jump on the rest of the army, the rest of reinforcements. But, I don't know, maybe he should have backed away a little more. The point still stands. Zealots, it's kind of difficult to win the game with them sometimes. Maybe this is fine, though. As we can see, the medevacs are all gone, and the bio is very overstimmed. In fact, where the hell is the rest of it? Byun at a very low supply. Lemon ditto, but Lemon has 5 bases, and Byun did not saturate his 4th. Too busy microing here. I don't know, maybe he was a little lazy. Oh. To me, that looks very intentional. But perhaps that was a mistake. This is one of those things where you go back into the resume from replay and you see what happens. If he did micro back just a little bit more for an extra 5, 6, 7 seconds, and see how much of his army is still alive and healthier for the follow-up engagements. But moving on from that point, we do have Byun barely holding on, but it's just so much Protoss. I mean, Lemon has not been winning in the resources lost since the first, big defense, I guess, the first move out from the Terran. But it doesn't matter. Jesus criminy. It's not the biggest differential, actually, but it's still a lot of blue. It's still a lot of blue. And the 4th base still not being a planetary means that Lemon could eventually just kind of swap over to the multi-pronged attack mode. Oh, you don't see that very often. Oh, the Immortal should have been more injured because of that. Oh, well. It was left behind, and it does get taken down. As you can tell, by the way, I haven't really highlighted it, but Lemon did go in the triple robo with Immortal production, which is something that we did see Protoss experiment with, 2 years ago again, actually. But, it can look really powerful. It can also look surprisingly weak, just because those Immortals do tend to get left behind. This army does have to, move around a lot. But if they're able to just stay behind this enemy, the Zealots and... Jesus, the Wood of Mines. Oh my god. And fire away, then they are effective. But that was not it there for the Zealots. The Wood of Mines, they knew the Zealots would clump up like that. They're just waiting patiently in their own little clump, and so many Zealots died. Lemon, he's just too much of an eager beaver. He thinks he's going to win, and I'm not sure he is. The medevac count is back up. The healers are coming through. EMPs plus Wood of Mines are really tearing these Zealots apart. The Wood of Mines in particular is really, I think, something that Lemon kind of forgot about, maybe? Because the Wood of Mines weren't really there for the initial, 10, 11 minutes of this game. And then now they're the highlight. There's still a couple of Wood of Mines left over. More of them burrowing. In fact, Observer is prepared, so those two won't fire off, but there's more to go back into. Even the bunker would be helpful at this point. Not because that's a good sign for a Terran player to be pushed all the way back to a bunker in the natural, but if Lemon were to continue over-dedicating to this, which he's gotten dangerously close to, this might still be okay for Lemon, even though he is down 15 supply. It might still be okay just because he can hold on to this position, but all it takes is 1 foot too far in the over-dedication, and your proxy gateway's taken down. This proxy gateway's taken down. You're reinforcing all the way back at home. You don't have those powerful units, so suddenly your 5th base goes down. You realize, oh shit, I actually needed all 6 bases because he has taken the gold here. I actually needed all those bases to continue trying to trade out with you because my resource trade is abysmal. That happens, I would say, all the time, although Protoss seems to be winning a little more lately in these open cups, but it does happen frequently. And if the bunker was the difference maker of Lemon over-dedicating or not, good thing you kept the bunker. It is finally salvaged, just maybe he wants the room, actually. Like, stop dividing his army. But it's not minerals that Byun needs. It's actually gas. He is managing to keep afloat, however, so he'll produce some gas-based upgrades and units, so it's not terrible right now, but he does need these gases, so he's, he's building them. 2 additional command centers as well, which when they're a little bit healthier, also provide a little of that Sim City. Lemon never went over into that multi-pronged harassment style, which I think is the biggest thing missing. Like, I could see how Lemon thought he was going to win at some point, so I'm on his side to a certain degree, but hindsight 2020, I do think that it would have been better to just pivot into a more multitasking style, get a warp prism over it. What the fuck? How is the space up and just chilling as an orbital? Like that. Exactly. This is the greatest point. Like, a couple of zealots would make Byun not able to mine off of that. And Lemon is now horse blinder mode, not paying attention to anything in his peripherals. He is just entirely focused on the front. And I think he's missing a big opportunity. Because not only will he do direct damage, as the Vikings come over to respond to this, he's not only missing literal direct damage, he's missing all that indirect damage that comes with it, all the mess-ups that happen, because frankly, it is easier to send zealots to a Terran than it is for the Terran to defend. And I don't think that has to be a controversial statement. I feel like most people agree at this point, but yeah, it requires a lot of effort. Oh, that was so close to... Well, I guess it never... Doesn't one-shot Marauders anyway, so it did almost kill 2 of them. But almost being the key word. Disruptors not really coming in clutch at this point, and there's so much bio. More zealots are needed, but now they're going to be coming into a bio army that has collected itself up on the high ground, running away from the Disruptor. Easy peasy. 3-3 versus 3-3, by the way. The upgrade difference also, I don't think kicked in the time that Lemon wanted it to. There was a time where it looked like maybe he would have waited for 2-2 to continue his push, and he didn't. So there actually hasn't been that big of an upgrade difference at any point. I have been paying attention, which is critical because he is just trying to win with Zealots. The Zealots are tanking, and they are in range of the Colossus, which I know sounds like a weird thing to say, but that's kind of the important thing, right? The Zealots have a tendency to continue pushing that Terran back, and the Colossus are trying to catch up. In the very first fight on this side of the map, that's what happened, and the Colossus got almost no shots off. This time around, the Colossus are actually getting shots. The Vikings, I guess, just dwindled the number after killing that pylon. We got 8 medevacs. We do need to move over back into Vikings. That's exactly what Byun is doing. He does have 2 starports, as he has been able to get to all these bases, and it seems so unnatural. Like, this shouldn't happen. Lemon is missing, I think, a crucial part of this game, and that is harassment. He's making this look, I think, far too close. And there could be some discussion about how when you do move over more into harassment, that's, 12 zealots that are not a part of this main fight. So maybe you miss that opportunity to finally get that clutch moment where you win, which he's been trying to do for the last 8 minutes. Okay, there is some argument to be made there. But I would say I am very confident, although I'm not nearly as good as Lemon, I am very confident saying that he should have sent some zealots elsewhere. And the reason I'm so confident is because we watch Max Packs every single fucking week. And Max Packs would have done it, and we know that Max Packs would have never let this base up, would have never let a planetary protect it, he would have never let this base up. Hell, he probably would have stopped this base from coming up. And maybe he doesn't win the game as fast as Lemon thought he could, but that's okay, because he definitely would have won by now. So yeah, I'm going to be a little critical. Maybe I should be a little more positive and just talk about how well Byun is doing. But I can't, in my soul, I can't do it. Because I feel like we're missing just such gigantic parts of the game plan. Like, Byun is probably also shocked at how much he's been able to expand. Byun's probably just like, I can't believe I got away with this. This is amazing. Because he would be used to all these zealots, or at least half of these zealots, being sent elsewhere. And at this point, not only has he managed to get an economy, Byun that is, but he's also managed to develop more choke points and more defensive positioning. So it is getting worse as the game goes on for Lemon. He is still 8,000 resources in the hole. I feel like he's been a little less, than that sometimes, but it's been pretty bad for him on the resources lost. He's been able to expand, as much as he wants, but he's been spending so much money too. And I don't think... He can't keep doing this forever. There is a finite number of minerals on a map in StarCraft. Thank God, because if there wasn't, Zerg would probably dominate every game. And we're reaching that point. And never at any point did Lemon use this proxy gateway. Liberators have now arrived, which would make dealing with harassment a little bit easier. But in this case, because we're not getting any harassment, you can just send the Liberators forward to their main army. Which, yeah, absolutely causes a dilemma for the Protoss army. I think you're right. I think Lemon... Oh, no, Lemon does know about this bottom right base. He did check. He's just not... He did see it when it was a planetary, I think, right? Yeah, so... It would require a bit more dedication to kill it than if he had scouted as a command center, but he could. Because the other thing he could have done is added in DTs. Which I certainly wouldn't have minded. I think that would have been helpful. Medevacs are almost out of juice, surprisingly, despite a high number of them. There's just been so much moving and stimming around here. Liberator harassment could also now be a problem. Oh, big misclick! Oh, I'm not exactly sure what was supposed to happen there, but that was not it. Lots of the army being torn apart. Rocks, I guess, blocking what would have been the rest of the army, but they weren't even ready to go. Lemon gonna try and take another fight. The medevacs are without energy. The bio army is not getting healed up again, so this is possibly effective, but it's still not effective enough. The kiting is still good, using these angles to really get those zealots in a straight line, so they're less effective. Byun has doubled the bank of his opponent in minerals, and then I don't even know what the number would be. The quintupled, I don't know, in gas. Lemon does not have a solution. And this could be seen as a bit of a problem as Protoss players look at me complaining about how the Protoss isn't playing well, and they're like, Protoss is hard, you know, and I'm like, okay, I know it's hard. But you could concede perhaps the idea that Protoss doesn't have as strong of a direct engagement army in the Supreme late game of this matchup. I would accept that argument. Even if they try to transition over into Stargates, that is a very, very slow, expensive transition that I would say doesn't work out very much anymore, and that's why we don't see Protoss try it. So you could concede that, but usually that's okay because there's so much of the map to expand to, and there's so many opportunities to go for these multi-pronged attacks that eventually the Protoss does whittle the Terran down before we get to the age-old problem of, okay, well, who wins in a straight-up battle, mano-a-mano? But we're at that point, and without the Disruptors hitting, which a couple of them did just right there, but without the Disruptors hitting, the Protoss army is probably not as strong. Liberator sieged up, EMPs ready to go, medevacs with more energy, Protoss army probably not as strong. But we are missing some things in this particular fight. Liberators are sieged up, but not that many, getting torn down as well. Medevacs are out of juice. Ghost, I don't believe, had a lot of EMPs. Might have hit one at the beginning. But that was why Lemon won that particular battle. Finding a Liberator on the backside as well is nice. SCV's pulled into this. Byun, this is a matter of just time buying, however. He does have the bank. And Lemon is the one that's running out of bank. So while this would, again, if it was 10 minutes ago, be this whole, like, okay, well, eventually the Protoss can win if he keeps doing this, that's not the scenario. It's as long as Byun doesn't get his production camped and take 5 Disruptor hits to the face, he will probably win this. We are getting some sturdier units, more dependable units. The Colossus are coming back in, and while they are more dependable than a Disruptor, their actual damage against Marauders in particular can be underwhelming. Disruptors shoot out their shots, 2 of them left over, not really getting the best shots. Byun is no longer mining a whole lot. That is certainly worth noting. I'm talking a lot about how Lemon's going to run out of minerals. Well, Byun is as well. He does need this base up and running, but he has maxed out. He is at 2,000 bank. That is better than what Lemon currently has. Although Lemon is still mining more. So there are 2 bases. There's just literally off of 2 bases, I guess. Byun's down to, let's say, 1 base maybe in total. Super oversaturated every which way we look. Liberators do need to be a part of this fight. It looks like taking advantage of these chokes. Feels confident enough pushing the bio army in. I don't know about that one. Liberators making a reposition here. Byun probably not even used to getting that many Liberators in a game. TvP nowadays. He's like, oh my god, I have 6 of them waiting. Yeah, we'll need to reposition, but... I'm doing just like a negative Nancy today. I'm pointing out all their problems. You know, after you start getting bored casting the same well-done PVT, I guess you are gonna hone in more to why this doesn't look like a well-done PVT. But yeah, maybe I'm a little negative today. But the Liberator usage is not the best here, basically. We're not using them in all of the choke points. We're not using them to protect the bases in anticipation, which would be the ideal situation. And when we are chasing after the Protoss army, we're not exactly leapfrogging the Liberators super quickly, which I know is difficult. I don't do it. I can't do it. But you know, back when we saw more of these late games, I think we'd see them do it a little better. That was a little too aggressive, unfortunately. As soon as I'm like, yeah, you should bring those Liberators with them. Okay, that was a little too aggressive. A lot of Liberators did go down, but EMPs just blanketed the army right there. Vikings hitting free shots without going down. Now finally going down on that Colossus that did die. The bio army completely healthy. The medevac starting to regain that energy. I totally forgot. Again, so few games go this late. I totally forgot Caduceus Reactor was a thing. Actually a very good upgrade if you're going to go past, let's say, 14 minutes, I would say. It's one of those, after you got your 3/3, after you got your +2 ship weapons. I think it's very, very useful, so I am glad we're seeing that. Now the command center will go down. I think we still might have 1 or 2 extra orbitals, though, so we can replace it. 3 extra orbitals, in fact. So still 5 bases in total, including the planetary. Lemon finally mining out of at least one of these bases that was perfectly saturated. We got SCVs being pulled into this because why not? You don't need this many workers. And Byun is really trying to find the end game here. 4 Liberators, don't know where exactly they are. 1 at least that he can drag back into if the fight goes wrong. And that is scary, because if Lemon blinks into that, he's blinking into the entire army. SCV's going down, obviously, on the front lines. We're not even going to worry about SCVs anymore. 20 army supply difference. Equal upgrades. EMPs hitting the army first. Vikings taking care of that Colossus. And then Disruptors shoot their shot. That's when the bio army is going to collapse. And I think we're almost at that point. Colossus didn't actually die, but the Disruptors, I believe, shot all their shots. Still not feeling comfortable moving after that army, though. Mule Drop's going to give Byun a lot of minerals in case this fight does go poorly. 30 supply difference now, favoring Byun. He is chipping away here. Lemon can't get the same kill time on his army. Whenever they have those momentary scuffles where their armies are close to each other for, let's say, 2 seconds, the bio army is going to kill a handful of stalkers. It's just, it's freaking powerful. The stalkers, unless they're focus firing, are not going to get the same thing. So that's, I think we're seeing a lot of bleed off because of that. The stalkers have to be just frankly a little more careful when they run up against the army. Yeah, so there, 2 or 3 stalkers go down. I don't think a single marauder went down, maybe a couple of marines. Now we're getting a direct fight. Stalkers trying to take this on with the help of 1 Colossus that is near death. The Liberators might be able to take that out. That's saying something, because Liberator anti-air ain't what it used to be. Byun really does not want to throw this game. He does not want to underestimate the Protoss's potential bank. We have seen almost no bank accumulation, really, from the Protoss. Just, so many fights have been happening. A 12,000 resource difference. So Lemon, I think his biggest bank might have been 1,000. But Byun can't know that. And the amount of games that any of us have played in StarCraft, we're like, this guy's definitely poor. And then we try and win, and then, 18 Ultras pop out, and you're like, oh. It's numerous, right? So Byun is absolutely respecting Lemon here. And Lemon is trying to use his last little bits of money wisely. He is literally mining out of these bases now. These were, 16 4 minutes ago. Now they're down to 8 for saturation. They're going to be out soon. It'd be one of those games, actually, where if Byun could, even mining it out with the mules might not have been a bad idea. Well, we didn't get to that point. And a lot of orbitals have died, so we're not going to do that now. Widowmine still helping out too, by the way. That was the last Widowmine finally going down. The Liberator counts at 7 after the one died. We do have, I think, a better bio army. I mean, it's bio, lib, ghost, Viking. 4 Colossus is a decent amount of DPS, as long as they aren't concaved or surrounded. That is decent. You know, I really don't mind it, actually. I think 4, when you think that they can't afford to replace Vikings, might be a good idea. 7 Vikings for 4 Colossus isn't exactly ideal for a Terran. Byun is grabbing a couple more Vikings, though, so he's identified that. But if you were able to cull the Viking number, then 4 Colossus might, you know, they might never die. Assuming the Stalkers can hold up against the Marauders long enough anyway. But the Vikings are there. They are chasing after the Colossus, which at this point, the other problem here, the Stalkers can't stand and fight the Vikings. They're going to be slaughtered by the bio, which means the Vikings basically got to push the Colossus back without killing them. The Colossus only affecting that battle in the last 2 seconds. Byun finally pulls the trigger and gets the... And, you know, Max Pax might be the best at that, but any other Protoss that gets decently far, you know, if Mono is facing a Terran, he would have done the same thing. When Geralt plays versus Terran, he tries to do the same thing. What are the Protosses are there? Wait, Hero, Hero would obviously do it too. And I think Lemon knows that. You know, before I come out like too much like a Lemon hater, I think Lemon knows that that was a possibility. I think there was a consistent, in-the-moment decision to try and win the game, especially minute, what was it, like 12 to 16. I think that was very legitimate even. It looked like Byun might be on the ropes. Just a little more, a little bit more of a surround with the Zealots. I would win this. So I totally get that. But after that 16 minute, 17, whatever it was, I would say at that point, you know, you see an orbital with a pylon off to the left. And you don't send Zealots to it? That's just, I think, having invested too much in your initial idea. Just you know. Being like, no, I will win this. No, shut up. No. That's my idea anyway. I mean, maybe Lemon really, I don't know, didn't think it was a good idea in any situation. Well, Byun now up by 1, goes for a factory expand on Tokamak. Lemon in the bottom left. 1 get expand prior to CC, actually. Sorry, Cybernetic score. I got into the habit of calling Cybernetic score a CC when I was doing my build order tutorials, you know, so just I didn't have to write Cybernetic score every time. But that's a little confusing because Command Center is also a CC. Thanks, guys, for all the happy birthday wishes. I got a donation. Hold on. Recall the scouting probe. Teu, $20. Thank you very much. Let's get CG effed up. I have no idea what casting, well, lit would be like. Probably very lazy. Very tired casting. Oh, that's 1 probe dead. Well done, Reaper. I don't know where to put you. Come over here. Final decision. All right. So, once again, Lemon goes for that Sentry second, so he will have good scouting, which is particularly, I think, useful if you're going to go up to a factory expand. Hallucination maybe could have seen the Marauder attack on the way if it had gone towards the natural instead of the main first. It kind of got like an off-timing scout, I suppose. Either way, I don't think Shield Battery's done for that first game. But the first game also, like I said, it wasn't supposed to do really game-ending damage. Factory Expand, if it is indeed an expand, first of all, could actually do truly devastating amounts of damage. So if this was a 1-1-1 or a proxy starport with Hellions about to show up, then that hallucination would have been able to tell that and give Lemon a heads up. As it is, this is the basic Factory Expand, the one that's not incredibly dangerous. 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions. If you just let them into your natural, well, sure, that's bad. But this is something that Lemon was already prepared for. Shield Battery on the front to help the wall, but then also will help a little bit defending natural third dilemmas. And then even the Twilight Council going up on that front as well. So very quick and easy wall. Now these quick and easy walls, the ones where you use some important structures for, which gateways are important, of course, but even more important, they can be a vulnerability. In fact, a wall in general, whether it is gateways or other things, can be a vulnerability against tank pushes. And Byun has been throwing out some kind of off-time tank pushes. A little Hellion drop. Only 2 Hellions, though, so they're not one-shotting. But the Reapers are also there, so that's going to take care of the injured probes. And then the medevac probably wants to get away. Should be able to. A boost is almost here. 6 probes already went down, and the medevac is going to escape without even boosting. I'd like that as a Terran player. Yeah. Which would be even better as if there was some type of follow-up attack. But I think we did get a scout on all of the gateways. And it is not a 2-gate Nexus. It is a 3 gates, which means trying to force an attack with your tanks across the map could go awry. It might not be the best decision. This wouldn't mind actually even was scouting for that 3rd Nexus in the horizontal position anyway. So, not the triangle. So I guess that shield battery would help more in like the... Well, nothing really. I guess if the 3rd goes down, then the shield battery would help. But the 3rd Nexus is intended to go down. Lemon actually did not invest a lot into Stalker production despite 3 gateways. 3 gateways might have been just for protection. And then you don't have to invest a lot. No Warp Prism either, which is just a personal decision for Protoss players out there. Yeah, Max Packs usually gets the Warp Prism. Heroes started to get the Warp Prism more often than not, I think, as well. But it's really not something you have to do. And Lemon seems fairly content just getting the good, safe scouting on his Terran opponent, deflecting whatever comes by, and then getting to that prime 3 to 4 base position for the attack. That does seem to be Lemon's highest priority, at least in this PvT, which is like the one PvT I've seen from him. So we don't know how else he would play. But so far, this series, get to the macro game, and then play out your Colossus push into overwhelming number of Zealots. Although this one was a little more typical because we did go blink first, not charge first. I wonder if he did expect like a medevac-less push last game. And that's why I went charge first. Anyway. 2 shield batteries on the way seems like to help out against harassment in the main, as well as, of course, 1 at the 3rd. I don't know if I like that shield battery placement. It's kind of out in the open. I mean, it's still behind. I have this vision of it blocking a Stalker or a Sentry from retreating quickly, and that's what I'm thinking. But as long as it's helping the army that is on the front, as long as it's helping the Nexus that is on the front, blink forward to take care of the tanks. Tanks are a little confused, but still getting shots off. Stalkers will be going down here. Widowmine's even going to pop off. This was not a hold. Oh no, that was ugly. Ooh, gee, oh. That wasn't it. Does kill the last tank, but Lemon knows that that was too bad of a hold. That just, I think he felt too pressured by the Nexus being attacked. The Nexus was under fire. All 3 tanks, all the bio firing at that Nexus is going to go down pretty quickly. So you do have to make a decision. I think he could have given it a little more time, though. If he had been able to warp in even chargeless Zealots, because it did not check to see if charge was done, even like 3 chargeless Zealots on the front maybe would have done something a little better. Of course, if the blink was going to happen, it wouldn't be on the front. But yeah, that's well, that's Lemon out of the match. I did say Mono was out of the tournament earlier on. I do have to correct myself. There is a lower bracket tournament, lower bracket to this tournament, I should say. Holy shit, that's so much green. What? Look at this. Look how much green that is. Where are the Zergs? Where are the Terrans? They've given up.